Maverick Physical Therapy, back to our narrow kind of squat progressions for episode number 3. What we're going to do in episode number 3 right here, if you take a look at that middle row, again the focus will be on the N right here, which signifies narrow. So you have the top row to review, you have the R and the L, which signify the right or the left foot forward in that forward and backward plane. That middle row, the W and the N, you have those to signify the position of your feet in the side-to-side plane. The E and the I signify external rotation and internal rotation of the hips and of just kind of the lower extremity complex. So what we're going to be doing here, we're going to go after 9 ways for our narrow squat progressions, with our first starting with an X and X. So with those, narrow, okay, what does narrow mean? Well, when we in the first episode, attack kind of what we considered normal, good kind of foot position in terms of what felt comfortable, and that's typically going to be about shoulder width apart. Narrow then is very relative. It can be 2 inches closer than what they were, or they can go feet literally as close as possible. And so neither way are wrong. What's correct is what's proper for you, what's proper for the patient, the client, and where they are in their movement journey. So what we're going to take a look at right now is the narrow squat position. So we're going to go X and X. Feet are nice and close together, and I'm basically taking out kind of that frontal plane, and with this top-down driver, really loading up kind of the sagittal plane with the anterior kind of rotation of the pelvis forward. We're next going to go X and E, and then X and I. So I get some good dorsiflexion and eversion of the feet and the ankles. And then an X and I. I'm just going big toes right to each other, and I'm rotating my heels on out, rotating my lower extremity in as close as I can. It really goes after some good dorsiflexion and inversion in the feet and the ankles. It goes after that posterior hip capsule. What I'm going to do next, let's go after kind of the R and the L series at that top row, with the N middle row, and then the I and the E. So let's go an R and X, meaning my right leg is forward, narrow base of support, no tweak, kind of in that rotational plane. And so I'm getting a great phenomenal load of the hips, more particularly, especially that left hip and the left foot and ankle right here. Dorsiflexion, getting a lot of good eversion, but primarily kind of that dorsiflexion bias. And now let's go R and E. So right leg is forward, feet rotated out, narrow positioning, and a nice little squat. So this goes after the groin in a big way, with the feet rotated out to decelerate that external rotation of especially of kind of that right pelvis, but then also to get some good, that right hip, to get some good kind of dorsiflexion and eversion down in the feet and the ankles. Let's go in R and I positioning now. R and I positioning gives us some good dorsiflexion and inversion at the feet and the ankles. Really loads up the posterior hip capsule, especially the left. Now let's go an L and X position. Again, really loading on up the right foot and ankle. Let's go an L and E. Feel a good stretch to both groins with this, so econcentric. So I'm getting that good kind of flexion of the hips going with my top-down driver. So adductors are concentrically helping to do that. I've taken out the frontal plane, but I'm really kind of going after that rotational plane, the deceleration of the external rotation. And then let's go an L and I position. So feet staggered, left leg forward, nice little squat and reach. I don't feel quite as much of a stretch on this side. On that right posterior hip capsule is what I did on the left. Get some good dorsiflexion and inversion of the feet and the ankles. Play around with these guys. We're going to continue to hammer away in the squats. If you can't squat, we have to assume that we can't move for squat. If you can't squat, we have to assume that you can't move for squat. Think about the implications for how these little motor milestones occur when we grow up. One of the first things we learn how to do is we learn how to crawl. We learn how to roll. We learn how to kneel. We learn how to creep by hanging onto things. We learn how to pull. We learn then how to change levels, move the center of gravity up and down. We learn how to squat. We get in these good deep positions right here that how often don't you see little kids in? They've got great flexibility in their hips and their feet and the ankles. We learn how to walk. We learn how to run. We learn how to be agile, to bend, to twist, to kneel, to jump and to hop. Think about as basic as what those are, those tasks and those skills are. Think about you and yourself. This is my challenge to you. Think about you and yourself and how over time, culture and society-wise, how imbalanced or taken away from doing these simple fundamental things we become. This is very, very imperative in terms of being able to survive, guys, to be in order to have healthy hips, feet and ankles, and knees and backs, and fending off that degenerative joint disease, those degenerative arthritic changes throughout the system and those compensatory mechanisms. Not being able to squat, not being able to lunge, not being able to crawl and perform some of those basic skills that we learn and that we are driven to gather all this great feedback from at this young age. If we don't have the ability to gather from that and harness ourselves in from that, it's very similar to, I would say, forgetting how to read and write, to talk and communicate with other people. Think about it for a second. We went to school so that we could learn some basic math, so that we could take English classes, so that we could progress from what our parents instilled in us at home in terms of our communicative kind of skills and interactions, and our ability to write, to be able to write our name, to be able to write things, to communicate to other people, to show people our passion or love for them and what they do, and to share different aspects of life with them. And movement is no different. We need to think about this. We cannot forget how to squat. We cannot forget how to lunge and to hop and to jump and to run, to skip, to leap and to bound. Forgetting these tasks and not being able to perform them well is similar to not being able to speak well, communicate well, not being able to read, not being able to write, not being able to kind of cook and put meals and other things together and survive on your own, to balance a checkbook. There's a lot of responsibilities that come with being human, and that is being able to move. Protect your investment, which is the healthcare and the well-being of you. We're responsible to step up to the plate and to jump on board and to take care of that, initiate that on our own. Have a great day playing with these guys.